Hi everyone, so we made it, it's week 2. I don't know about you guys, but week 2 was a lot harder for me than week 1. I think I was riding a high last week, but this week it was kind of like a Wednesday. They call it hump day for a reason. I think I was getting over the fact that I'm just reaching the midpoint of this month. But that feeling had a lot of benefits to it too. I tried a few different techniques and ideas this week, and some maybe weren't as successful as others, but I'm still glad that I did them because I have learned a lot too. So let's start chatting about them and being a little less vague. So for day 8, the word was star. I actually sketched this idea out a while ago. I hadn't really taken this one further because I wasn't sure how I wanted it to look when I completed it. Like, I liked the sketch in my head, but I had no idea how it should look rendered. So after doing a few palette tests, I decided to keep it mostly black and white so that I could contrast the yellow star against those colours. A key thing I wanted to play with when colouring this one was the transparencies. Watercolours, unlike inks, somewhat reactivate when you apply another water layer, and I actually kind of like that effect, that somewhat blotchy moments when they half mix together. It just gives it a nice texture, kind of like it's been painted in the rain or something. But for this piece, I wanted to see how smooth I could layer the watercolours up to give the idea of the fabric being sheer. Through trial and error, my tip would be to make sure the paper is fully dry before adding the next layer, and maybe don't water down the watercolours too much. There's kind of a certain consistency you need to achieve that's hard to explain. It may show up in the video, it's kind of just a bit thicker than completely translucent. Might take a bit of practice, I guess. I really enjoyed creating this effect though, and I think it could be a lot of fun to play with the colours of this one once again in the future, maybe when I've got a bit more time. So yeah, for day 9 the prompt was precious. Man, I had no idea what to do for precious. For all of you Steven Universe fans out there, I was kind of thinking about the crystal gems when I sketched out this piece. I didn't want to do anything on the fan art side this month because, as I mentioned in last week's video, I kind of wanted to improve my ability to illustrate a whole concept. But I like the idea of incorporating a gemstone onto the body of the creature, and still talking about me being all indecisive with this one, I really just threw whatever came into my head onto the page with this prompt, and decided I wanted to create some kind of lens flare-like glares on the image, like the crystals were catching the light. But I didn't just want to use masking fluid again to keep the white sections clean. I thought it could be fun to use inks and then drip them onto the page to kind of get that circular but somewhat splashy effect. But the white in particular was just too thick when I dripped it. And it is my lack of foresight on that. I tried this years ago when I was back in college, and I forgot completely that I mixed that ink with water beforehand. Even so, I'm not really sure how well the effect would have worked. If you have the Winsor Newton white ink, you'll know too that it needs a bit of a mix before using it. Well, I hope yours does too, because mine does. But because of that, it does settle down if you haven't mixed it. And I'm not really sure how well it would mix with water and then dripped, if you know what I mean. It may have been all loose and maybe streaky, but really this is kind of like a test for another day. But yeah, overall, interesting experiment, not too sure with the results. So on to day 10, the word was flowing, and I was really chuffed with the concept behind this. I sketched this out in the morning and I just thought, yes. Only trouble I feel looking back on it is that I kind of copped out with the colours. I fell in love with the line art, and I'll be honest, I just didn't want to paint it. But I kind of tied my hands a bit by keeping a similar style this month, or at least trying to, and I knew I should paint it, but I kind of went a bit too weak, and now I just wish I'd gone in a bit stronger. Some of the trouble is I just couldn't get a good shot with the colours being so pale, but it's also because those light colours are too pale that's a problem. I wanted this English seaside look, which to me is kind of varying shades of grey. That's all from experience. But yeah, looking at it again, I almost wish I could up the contrast a bit and get some stronger colours in there. But overall, I was happy with the water effect. I was kind of hyperventilating a bit when I drew that water stream, just trying to imagine how it would get that translucent effect without it looking heavy or solid. It's just hard to imagine a liquid in space and then lighting it. My mind was exploding a little bit. But I think I did a pretty good job. Like I said on Instagram, it's kind of given me a whole new appreciation for the artists who animated Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think those people must have been geniuses. So yeah, for day 11, the word was cruel. When I read this, I felt kind of a little deflated, just because I've been trying to not make everything cute per se, but I wanted to keep the drawings with a similar feel. Somewhere like this is a little bit magical but in the everyday, that'd be my starting point. But cruel, it's just kind of hard for me to imagine something that's light-hearted with that word. So as I came up with this idea, I was imagining cruelty that is more self-imposed. When you're cruel to yourself, you feel all this dread and worry because you're imagining that everything is just specifically going bad for you. It's just a very isolating feeling, so I wanted to draw something foreboding and imposing itself onto a person. And yeah, that image of something large and looming was the focus for me, and I thought maybe a small village would give the thing a greater scale. Following from that, I wanted to make the creature looming over feel shadowy and uncertain, as if maybe it isn't real, because I was trying to give that impression of a feeling as well of blanketing the thought, like almost like this is some kind of shared nightmare in that village. Yeah, I don't know. Sakura wrote a great story for this one over on Insta. My job was kind of getting the feeling across, and I feel like I got there with that one. Sticking to black and white made the shadow concept feel a bit stronger to me too, and I thought it gave this kind of black and white, classic horror film vibe to it. Yeah, okay, we've made it past the halfway point, and for day 12, the prompt was whale. I was really excited when I saw this word at the beginning of the month. I feel like I may have talked about this before on this channel, as it's the type of thing I ramble on about, but whales, along with elephants, are my favourite animals. Saying them together now makes me think that I must come across as someone who just loves giant animals, but that isn't the only reason. I kind of love them both because they feel like the most mysterious creatures on the whole planet. They're both not only very clever, but they also, from a lot of the studies that I've read, have really complex emotions. I'm going to go all a bit scientific-y for a moment, so I hope you don't mind. But there's been brain scans of whales that show that they have this extra area, like a little extension in their brain, in the limbic system, which we don't have. Now, our limbic system is thought to be where we process emotions, along with other things. So going from there, whales could be experiencing emotions that we can't even conceptualize, that we can't even feel. And it's not just their brains, because we see that in their behaviour as well. They're just very interesting. There was this story a while ago about humpback whales saving a separate whale species, the grey whale, and even seals from killer whale attacks. They would hear the attack happening miles away underwater and then swim all that way to intervene, saving all these grey whale calves from the attacks. And yeah, how many other animals can you think of that go out of the way for another species for no obvious gain, but definitely risking their own lives? So yeah, it's enough whale facts. I think the whole idea behind this painting was just inspired by my feelings towards whales. They really amazed me, so I wanted to make something where you just feel wow and you feel amazed. Plus, I picked belugas because other than them just being adorable, there's a great YouTube video of them dancing with a mariachi band that I'm going to link to you guys. I mean, it's going to be a low going from that, but for day 13, the word was guarded. Honestly, this wasn't really a low. I mean, I was more excited to see where everyone else was going to take this prompt more than anything, because I felt like this is one of the most open to interpretation ones. I wanted to continue incorporating characters into the illustrations, but I also wanted to change it up from being solely modern and try something a bit more antiquated. This was born on the fact that I realised how averse to the colour brown I was. I barely ever touch that colour alone. I do mix with it a lot, but I never really focus on it, so I wanted to challenge myself a bit today. It was a bit like a mindfulness exercise painting the grain of the wood behind her. I really did enjoy it, as you can probably tell from me spending half an hour doing it. One thing I realised while painting was how versatile brown is, especially with harsh primary colours. And by that I mean brown works pretty well paired with hot or cold colour palettes. It's a very versatile colour, and I don't really look at it that way usually. When I think of brown colour palettes, my head just goes to Neapolitan ice cream. I think, oh, pale pink and yellows go nicely. But by bringing in this orange light, it kind of showed me that, yeah, it can fight against strong colours too without just looking messy or dirty, I guess. I feel like if anything is the antithesis of flowing, this is. It's just a bit too high contrast comparatively for me. So yeah, we've made it. Last day of the week was day 14's clock. I feel like this one is going to be confusing or weird to people, but there's always a logic. You've just got to trust me. My idea was a girl made of the sands of time, because the first thought I had was Father Time, like the guy on Jules Holland's New Year's countdown. I kind of thought I want to inverse that a little who says that someone depicting time has to be old, and on top of that, an old man. I also thought it could be fun to play with the hourglass figure idea and her being made of sand. I don't know, there's a lot of weird ideas going on with this one. I can't explain it all very well. I'm just gonna let you leave it up to your imagination a bit. A big part of the colours really behind this one was kind of my feeling on the day. When this week started here in Wales, the weather was really beautiful and I went for a walk and I was thinking this has got to be one of the most beautiful days in October I've ever seen. It's blue skies, it's really warm like we're still in summer, there's barely any leaves that have fallen, it can't be October, it must be the wrong time of year. But today, on Sunday, the rains and the storms have started, the leaves are being thrown about in the wind, autumn has truly come. And yeah, just not to get on a downer, but I just wanted to paint something all hot and warm and summery to counteract that feeling. And yeah, that's week 2. It's an interesting mix of work. I think you can tell I was experimenting a little more this week. It's odd to think we're already halfway through the month, and I can't tell if this Inktober is feeling longer or shorter than last year. I thought I'd be getting all reflective at the end of the month, but it seems to be starting a bit early. Just talking more generally on Inktober, I think this is the week where a lot of people think maybe this is a bit too much, or want to take a few days off to later get back into the swing of things. I know I have at times. And I just want to say that you're on nobody else's schedule. The trouble with challenges like this, I think, is they can cause competitiveness against others, when really, if you want to be competitive to get better at something like art, you need to be competitive against yourself. It's not that you shouldn't ever compare yourself, because I do think there's merits to it, but really, as I don't want this to sound too depressing, you're really running this race against yourself. There's no measurement stick that somebody else is holding up. Inktober should be fun and it should be on your terms. So if you need to take a couple days off, just do it. If you missed a few of them, then don't beat yourself up, just remember you're making the rules. I saw Eric McCarthy the other day, he's another artist here on YouTube and Insta, who put 3 days into one illustration. And I thought, well, that's such a clever way of keeping up. And it's because he's comfortable making his own rules, as I hope you do too. So yeah, anti-establishment, fight against the man, yada yada yada. I'm just saying, don't feel downhearted if Inktober's not really exactly what you were expecting when you started it, because we're all at the halfway point, and you just get to choose how you want to finish it. So yeah, motivational speak over. Return to your homes and families. So yeah, I really hope you're enjoying Inktober though, and I'll be sharing a couple of artists that I've been enjoying this week. I mean, there's many more, but I'm going to focus on 2 and then maybe do a main bit at the end of this month. So yeah, if you're doing Inktober, make sure to comment so I can come check it out, and everybody else who sees it. And I love seeing everyone's take on the prompts or the prompts that they've created, so please share, and good luck for the week ahead. I hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you again next week.